Come on. And welcome to the Brazil Expat Journal, the BJ you can trust. We're back. It's Monday. It's cold. And
Not as cold as last week.
Not as cold as last, but it seems like it. It seems colder this time because it's rainy. I don't know. Was last week
It's
rainy or was it
rainy and it's gray and there's no sun. But the
exactly?
temperature is actually warmer. Like last Monday in the morning, it was 8 degrees. Today it was 20. So I'll take that.
Okay. All right. Well, you actually look at the temperature. I just walk outside and say this is shitty weather. Although I say yes and no because I actually like it when the weather's a bit like this. I actually like kind of chill weather. Just kind of, I get really lazy, as most people do. You just don't want to leave the house. I went out, by
Dude,
the
I've
way,
been in
Peter.
bed.
Oh, go
I've
ahead.
watched almost the entire series of Andor in the last few days because I'm a Star Wars geek
Of
and
course.
it's May the 4th be with you month.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I seriously just grabbed a blanket and I've been watching nothing but Star Wars content in bed for the last like 5, 6 days. I have done nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I know exactly how that is. You can
Even
get
when I
into
work,
those.
I'm doing nothing because I'm working online, so I don't have to leave bed.
And I tell you guys, one thing that's really interesting about São Paulo is that it's such a big city. And like for example, we have Jordan on tonight, and I'll introduce him in a second back on the show. But like Jordan lives in a part of the city that is far but not far. And then when the weather's bad and then it's raining, sometimes you end up not seeing people. Like even me and Pete, we've seen each other finally like twice. But it's like you just don't feel like leaving the house because oh my God, it's raining. The
Yeah, I could
traffic's
walk
gonna
to
suck.
Phil's house from here, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, because it's such a hassle just dealing with the city when it's raining and stuff. The infrastructure is not that great. But I did go out this Saturday. Eduardo got me out of the house finally. And guys, wow, the city has changed so much. I was on Augusta, which is one of the best streets in Sao Paulo. And it's supposed to be this very alternative street, underground street. When I came here, it reminded me a lot of South Street, if anybody has ever been to Philadelphia, and it's changed so much. Now it's so gentrified. Like every corner, there's these bars with the neon lights. Everything's expensive. Like all the weirdos are gone. It's all very
No, the
coxinha.
weirdos are on the side streets, though.
Yeah, you gotta look for them before you could just step out and they'd be all there. So I don't know. I had a good time. I still love Rua Augusta, but it's so crazy how much the city has changed. It's still a great city though, but it's a different vibe. I always say downtown São Paulo has grown a lot. Like that's the place where you go now, where you get a lot of the cultural stuff. You get more of a blend of people. The rest of the city, like Paulista, Rua Augusta, even Pinheiros, which is a neighborhood I really love, is just it's different. It's not a bad vibe. It's just a different vibe. So, when you come down here, just be prepared for that. That it's not as out there as it used to be. Maybe for a newbie, it is. Because São Paulo, Brazil, is just another universe compared to anywhere else you are in the world. Speaking of which, speaking of things to do in São Paulo, Pete reminded me that we have the Virada Cultural coming up this weekend, right, Pete? It's this
That
weekend?
is correct. Yes,
And
this coming
yeah.
weekend. But it is only, I believe, the 23rd and the 24th. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not 24 hours like it used to
Oh
be back in the
man.
day.
See, that's what I'm saying.
And
It's so soft.
yeah, there are fewer stages, but
Uh-huh.
it's improved a little over previous years because what they've been doing in previous years is they've only had the stages at Seski's or certain indoor events, and
Hmm.
you needed to like book tickets in advance, and it was such a pain in the ass. This
Yeah.
year they have like a lot more outdoor stages.
I'm looking here, yeah.
You don't need to book tickets in advance. They have better acts, so it's looking better, but it's still not what it was in the glory days
What
when
it
it was
used to be.
just like, yeah, when it was just like 48 hours of nonstop music all across the city. I mean,
Yes.
the number of stages now, I think this year they have over 100. but I mean, it used to be close to 1,000. Like there was music everywhere, 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Now,
it's not what it used to be, but it's better than it has been in recent years.
all right. Yeah, I haven't been to a virada in quite some time. I'll try to check one out. I know Eduardo told me about a show that I might want to see. This girl, Ruiz, which is a singer that I discovered when I first got to Brazil, and Cell, which I haven't seen in a while. Those were like bringing back memories from when I first got to Brazil. They were kind of hot at the
Yeah,
time.
the thing about the Seu
Yeah.
Jorge show, it's taking place in Anagabu, and I
Mm-hmm.
swear there's going to be 1 million people there. Like,
Oh, for sure.
I,
For
I've been
sure.
to some big name Verada shows. I think the biggest was Anita, and yeah, there were literally 1 million people there, and
Man,
your chances of being robbed are extremely high in that part of town.
I agree. I agree. And I wish I had video evidence of Peter at an Anita show. But right before the show, guys, we were talking to Professor Antonio, which will be on next week. We will be talking about Tropicalia. So if you don't know what Tropicalia is, it's this Brazilian movement that deals with music, with art, with theater. Very cool movement. We're going to be talking about it. But I was telling him about this Virada Cultural, and he said the same thing. He's like, man, I used to go all the time, and then I just used to get robbed and just get robbed and get robbed. And
You don't
unfortunately,
go to the city center shows, man. You go to the chill places. And last
yeah.
year, I saw Sepultura in Butanta, Sepultura and Dead Fish, and there were probably close to 1 million people there as well. But it was like a way chiller vibe. It's the city center shows that draw the negative elements.
Exactly. And by the way, Zona Oeste is where Pete and I live, and it's really weak, man. I mean, they got a few rock shows here, but man, it's really weak. So, but
No,
it's
the
still
good shows this year actually
oh,
Lapa. Tendel
Lapa.
de Lapa actually has Hatos de Poro, Dead
Oh,
Fish.
okay, I might go see how to put on. Very cool. So, guys, you see here, there's the whole programming. You can just go online and put Virada Cultural. You're either going to get the site straight from City Hall, or you're going to get some other site that's going to show you all the stuff that's happening, what time it's happening. It's a lot of people. Here it says that it might join about 4 million people. So, yeah, just be careful when you're out there. I loved it. I used to walk around downtown Sao Paulo like a madman, 3, 4 in the morning. I
Yeah,
like the
stage
danger of
hopping,
it.
man.
Yeah, it's the danger aspect of it. I miss the danger aspect of some of what São Paulo offered back in the day. Now it's like too light and easy, and then it makes like the actual danger even like it's I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just different. But guys, definitely check this thing out. So tonight, okay, I don't want to keep our guest waiting too long. We're gonna be talking to Bishop. I'm going to call him Bishop, and he's half of the hip hop group UmSoh, and he's a good friend of mine. I really love him. I've admired his work for a long time, even before we got a little bit closer. In case you don't know, he and I worked together at the Espaço 337 place in downtown São Paulo. Now we're in Clube do Bem. He helps when he can. It's amazing. He's a really cool guy, and he's going to come out with some new music. And tonight we really want to focus on this culture. Like, how is it that you can connect all these different cultures from around the world in this one place called Brazil? And I think Brazil is just such a special place for that. But before I get him on, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's been listening. We just hit 2,000 subscribers. I see we got a lot of people on tonight, so I want to say hello to Travelmatic. Life is hello, Phil and Pete. How are you? It's always great to have you on here. Thank you guys that listened to last week's episode. That was really cool with Mr. Johnson. I know Life is left a comment on the page. That was a really, really inspiring show. We got Anthony, who we love, is here straight from Salvador, who had a great alien experience, UFO sighting stories, and Travelmatics on. Anyway, so we got the business out the way. Is that enough business, Pete? I think that's enough business.
That's enough business. Let's bring our
Let's
guest
get
in.
yeah, let's get Bishop on. He's there patiently waiting. What's up, Bishop? How you doing?
You,
How you doing?
am I online? I'm on there.
You're on the
Yep.
air, man. We can hear you. We
Hey,
can
what's
hear
going
you and
on?
see you. What's
How
going
y'all, how,
on?
how y'all doing? What's going on, Pete?
Hey, nice to see you again, man. It's been a long time.
It has cousin
Yeah.
Pete.
Well, I think last time we saw each other was during Carnival.
Hmm.
Carnival last year, not
No,
this year.
that's not the last time I saw you.
Well, I
And
mean, just
still,
us. Yeah, the three of us. We've seen each other since then. But yeah, Pete was out during Carnival a couple of years back, and we had a lot of fun. So, Jordan, I'm so happy that you're back on. You were on before. I was checking it out. I think it was episode 30 something. We're almost getting to 100 people.
oh
And you
nice.
gave us a little bit of a background of where you're from, how you got to be here, how you met your wife, this, that, and the third. So, guys, I'm going to link that episode to this episode. So go back and listen to that so you get a little bit
Who
backstory
knows
on
what
Jordan.
ignorant stuff I said on that episode, though. You know what I mean? This one,
Man,
I'm a little bit more cleaned up as
all
far
right,
as how I,
Mature is the word. Mature.
yeah,
mature.
mature.
I've gotten worse since then. But Bishop, what I want you to do, if you could, is just give us like the mini version of where you're from, how you ended up in Brazil, and then we'll really want to get into like the new projects that you're working on. He's coming out with a new album, a lot of the cultural stuff that's going on here in Brazil involving you. But give us like a little bit of who is Bishop.
Perfect. I just want to start off by saying I got robbed de virado cultural.
Who hasn't,
So
right?
does everybody.
Gloria Groovy, Lana Itaquera. But I don't know if I really got robbed, or was I so excited by the excellent music that Gloria Groove creates and was performing that I was jumping around and my phone was probably in my back pocket or something. I did something stupid. I just didn't have my phone. I had just got that from Facebook
Oh
Marketplace.
God.
Yeah, I damaged the phone at Verada as well.
Yeah,
I
guys,
stopped.
In Brazil, you learn real quick, like the slipping in the underwear. You know, women.
You don't want to slip in your underwear, man. You don't want that radiation close to your privates.
I'll put
What
it
you
in
want
your
to do is you
bag.
got them little bags. Yeah.
I've had my one kid for a lifetime. I'm cool with
Yeah, I
throwing
think I'm
stuff
fine. I
out.
think I'm good too. But anyway,
So, all right, I'm gonna get back to who I am. So, thanks for having me once again. Yeah, my
pleasure.
name is Jordan. But Bishop is my alias. You know what I mean? And it's been so since I was at least 13 years. I almost said had because I've been here in Brazil so long, but I've been here for 10 years actually. And I know that's not as long as you guys, but still a decade. It will be a decade come June 30th.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
from New Jersey, a small town in New Jersey, small city called Plainfield, New Jersey. I was born in Newark. I grew up between Plainfield and Newark, but I rep Plainfield more because that's where I went to high school. My father was in Newark and East Orange, and my mother and her family is in Plainfield. And I grew up there in an area which is very segregated. Just basically had black people only, and Latinos started coming in in the early 2000s. So I got some age on me,
Mhm.
and we were forced to mix in with a certain new group of people, and this created some problems where actually we had a couple homicides. This created a will in me to travel, and I moved to Panama. This was in 2011 to learn how to speak Spanish, to bring that culture back to my city and just try to fight for the peace. And somehow when I went back, I became very depressed living in the United States. It's like the cave allegory. Like I saw something,
Mhm.
and when I was living outside of that system, and I just couldn't get put back into the system in the same way. So what
I
that
feel you.
caused was a deep depression. My father had died too around that same time, so I just decided
Mhm.
to find an exit, and then somehow Brazil got presented to me while I was looking. That was the universe giving me the exit, presenting Brazil to me through other people. Because when I was in Panama, me and my brother we formed a group called Negros Americanos, and
Yeah.
this was with African Americans and Panamanians. We are not FBA folk. Okay, we don't. I don't do that. I'm very diasporic with my shit. And so
Mhm.
we formed this group, Negros Americanos, and in November of 2014, a lot of Brazilians, because of November, Black Consciousness Month, they were. I don't know if they were researching. I don't know what happened, but we were getting so many Brazilians, not only black but every color, liking our Facebook page. And I was never at that point. I never really thought too much about Brazil because I was basing my thing on the Hispanic, speakers, Latino, Spanish speaking Latino groups.
Hmm.
because that was the people who I was living around and
Yeah.
interacting with in our community. But this opened my eyes, and we're going to talk about culture and joining culture in what we're talking about. This opened my eyes 100% to other cultures, other languages, and specifically here in Brazil, the Brazilian hip hop. It took me to a different level because was noticing that hip hop in Brazil had maintained its element of fighting against the system. Its
Yes.
element of there's a different vibe of just talking about all the things that's happening and all the problems that we
Hmm.
face. That was still here. It's still here, but I would say when I was like looking into Brazil, that was like the where it was starting to go to the tail end. You know what I mean? Because we
Okay.
talking about when it was up in his height was like 2003, 2004, 2005, right? That's the
Hmm.
height where all of it, so and in the early 90s, I fell in love with those songs and I translated the lyrics. It took me into a whole different world. This is why I was still in the States for still like 2 more years living in the States, just constantly. I just entered into my headspace and I do that. Like I got some things that I just don't know what it is 100%. But I go
Hmm.
into my hyper focuses, and I think Brazilian hip hop was like a hyper focus for me. For
Yeah, and actually, you got a bit famous here because of that, right? Didn't you
I
do a
wouldn't
trend?
use the word famous.
Well, you got some fame off of it. You got a little bit viral doing the
Viralism.
Racionais MC song, right? Was
I,
it
it was
Racionais?
the RZO, RZO.
Arzio. Okay.
Yeah, O Trem. That song
Hmm.
was a great song. When I discovered that song, I watched the music video. And if you could show as I'm speaking, I don't know
Yeah,
if you
that's
could
what I'm
just like show
about to do right here. But go ahead. Go ahead.
RZO O Trem, the music video. Not me, not my version, the real one.
Oh,
You know what I
ooh,
mean?
I can try to get that up. Wait up. But I was
Why?
showing this here
Because
because that was on. Hmm.
I'm talking about the real one because that song, that video, oh yeah, that's already there. Yeah, so this is me actually reenacting the original.
Hmm.
I made a video because I was so interested in how they did that song. Because when I saw that
Hmm.
video, I learned about the train surfers. So I didn't know what that was, and I'm like, why are they on top of the train? What is that they're doing
Ah.
in this video? Right, and that's a
Hmm.
culture of there's a culture here in Sao Paulo of people, and a lot of them died. And I really can't understand because I would like
Hmm.
to like interview nowadays somebody who used to do that when they were young, just to talk to just to pick their brain. Like, why did you do that? Like, why'd you risk your life like
Yeah,
that?
I remember that was very big in Rio. I was still in America when, like, because my parents they used to get these boxes from Brazil with like all the VHS tapes of television shows taped for them, so they could like keep up with what's going on in Brazil. And I remember
Right, because
watching
we
the
don't have the
news with them.
internet. Like, it wasn't like
I
the
know
internet.
this
You
is
just
back in the
watching that.
'90s. This is back in the '90s, so they delivered a box every month with like
You got to
50
explain that
tapes.
type of stuff, yo.
I know it's crazy, right? So we're so old, but so they would used to watch the Global and everything. And I remember watching that as a kid. It was weird, It's a lot in Rio. The kids would be on top of the trains. I'm not going to show the video because I might get hit with some copyright, but you can see a little bit of
That's
a
right.
screenshot here
Okay.
of
So
what that is.
okay,
But anyway,
makes
but
sense.
just to speed things up a little bit. So that connected you. The Brazilian hip hop connected you. You got down here, and musically, how did that affect you? Because here you're just doing a version of somebody else's song. Like, when did you begin to actually really get into Jordan and Bishop, and like, now I'm gonna start making music not only in English but also in Portuguese, and really sink into the culture like that? Like, how did that happen?
That's a good question because I really did. It got me. It irritated the fame that you talk about
Mm-hmm.
because it was people wanting to hear me do somebody else's wrong. Like, every time we would have a show,
Mm-hmm.
I grab a mic. Oh, do Ehizio, and I'm like, what? Why would I do that? Why would I do a cover of somebody else's music when it's our show, it's me and my wife's show. So what happened was me and my wife we met each other. I met her online. I was looking, I'm saying my wife, Lena, and
Lena.
we were like Lena had a space. She had a house. It was a cultural house. and they had a lot of artists that were coming through, and some artists were actually staying there, paying rent, living there. They were renting a house. It was a really big house, in Capão, no Capão Redondo, and I heard about this neighborhood through music, through listening to Racionais MCs, which is like the biggest rap group in Brazil, probably one of the biggest rap groups in the world, just because of the heightened population of. And I was listening. They talked about this a lot. Sabotage talked about Capão. I listened to T.S. Trilha Sonora do Gueto with I don't want to say his name because he's involved in some crazy stuff. But there's a lot of different groups, right? And I heard the name of this neighborhood a lot of times, and then when I finally like met somebody, they were like, "Yo, the house is there. You need to get in contact with the people that's in charge of this house." And they presented me with Lena. She was one of the people that were in charge of the house because they were getting this like government grants and stuff like that for hip hop projects and stuff. And I looked at it and I'm like, "Yo, this house seems perfect. They got everything." And when I finally went there with the idea that I've been doing hip hop, like hip rap music, for a long time, right? Since 1999, I've been doing my music. So I've released many albums, and back when we were selling records, like actually selling CDs, like I made much more money doing that than ever with this streaming stuff, or ever with even like after when I was in high school. I'm talking about. I've never seen as much money as we made like rapping in high school, and sometimes that makes me sad. I'm like, yo, what happened? Like music is more accessible, it's online and stuff like that, but man, you can't really make money. The money is low in comparison to what I was getting.
Yeah, your music gets heard by more people, but you make like a fraction of the money that you used to.
It's ridiculous. And it took me a long time to catch up. But making a long story short, because I talk a lot. We came with the idea when I met Lena, like we started living in the house. We had some problems. We left the house. We started our group. And the idea was to put this music together, put the cultures together, things that we do that my wife was already doing with rapping and singing in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Have her learn how to do the same thing, like hooks and stuff, singing in English too. Me too. I can do some stuff in Portuguese, but I don't want to like rap verses in Portuguese. I write a lot in Portuguese. It keeps my pen strong. It's something that I like to do. I even do it in Spanish sometimes. I got a couple of joints that we did in Spanish. But I prefer, right now, Portuguese. I feel more comfortable. And I think I write 60% in Portuguese and 40% in English nowadays. I've been so consumed with Brazil that like I've been here so long that my mind, when I wake up in the morning, I go Portuguese first. I never thought that could happen, but it happened to me. Not that I'm saying I speak Portuguese the same level I speak English. I mean, I speak it more through the day. I only speak English when I'm talking to my mother, or now I talk to Lena in English like 60% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much you're fluent. I've spoken to you enough. Like, you don't have to think about it; it just comes out. So
it comes out, and a lot of times when I'm thinking, like, I don't know. Sometimes it goes Portuguese, sometimes it goes English, sometimes it's a mixture of both of them when I think. So like,
it's when you start dreaming in another language
that's cool.
Things start to get weird.
But I love it when I dream.
I used to have dreams in Chinese. It was bizarre.
Yes, it's bizarre when you have dreams in another language. I don't speak that well, like German. Like I speak a little bit of German, like 20% German, but I speak fluently in my dreams. It's so crazy. I wish I could speak that fluently in real life. So you're because getting down here, you're listening to the music, you're listening to the people talk. How did you get to create this different version of yourself that didn't always have to play that same old song? Did it come from the Portuguese? Like, how did you find your identity as an artist down here?
Wait, when you say that same old song, what exactly are you saying?
The cover that you were getting tired of singing every time, like play the RZO song. Like,
well, I don't think I found that. I don't think I found that yet.
I think you have, man. I mean, just from watching you, like, which is what attracts me to the group, and I think what's attract people to the group is that you have a point of view, as they always say. Like there's which is that blend of like the two cultures, and it's real. It's who you are. Like you're somebody that's not from here that loves here, Lena is not from there, but respects there, and you guys just
Where is
meet in
where
the
is
middle.
Lena from?
She's Brazilian, yeah, from Bahia.
She's
Oh,
from
well,
yeah.
okay, but
Yeah,
she is from Brazil.
yeah, she's
No, she's
Brazilian.
from Brazil. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
She's from a small. Well, it's not small. I mean, but she's from a city called Jequié,
I've
in
heard of Jack.
Bahia.
Yeah, yeah,
Jequié, Bahia. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's in the south of Bahia. And but she left there when she was 11 years old. Then she moved to Sao Paulo, a place called Jardim Vera Cruz. It's really
Hmm.
far. Like if you think Capão, when you say Capão is far, man, Jardim Vera Cruz, you got to get to Capão station, and then you go and get a bus, and then that bus will take you to all the way in Boy Medellin. You're going far. That's the longest street avenue in Sao
I
Paulo. Did you know?
know, and
In
Boiberim is
Boy.
very long.
Yeah.
Sapopemba is long too. I've been on Sapopemba once, and I was like, "Is this street ever gonna end?" Oh my
Yeah,
god!
Mhm.
But
it's long
but I
too.
think but at least for me, I think that like I don't know if it was conscious or not, but you guys formed an identity doing that, which I think is what's blossoming out. Which brings me like, let me jump ahead a little bit. I'm jumping all over the place, but I would just want to keep it moving a little bit
Hmm.
because you are releasing an album, and I
We
think
are, my
from
lord.
I haven't heard any of it yet, but I have heard things leading up to it. And for me, like that's the focal point because it's something that I've always been interested in, even back in the States with my band, which is called The Bridge. Why? Because I was always about this idea of bridging different musical styles. And I grew up in a Brazilian family, so I would bring the Brazilian into my music too, even though I was in the States. But then when I came to Brazil, then it's like, before it was like 30-70, and now it's like 50-50, depending on the day. It could be
Mm,
70-30 Brazil over the US as far as what's coming out of me musically.
hmm.
And I don't know if you do it consciously. It's just kind of like that's what happened, and it's I'm kind of learning that that's my identity too. It's like I'm two
Hmm.
people. I think when I first got to Brazil, I still felt like, okay, I'm an American, quote unquote, that's here, even though I was born here, because I didn't spend a lot of time in Brazil. I went to the US when I was like 5 or 6. And then it took me a while to realize, no, but you are fucking Brazilian and it's wonderful. And like, get in touch with that side of yourself. You grew up in a Brazilian household. You never ate at McDonald's. So Brazil is in you. You just got to let it out. So I think for you guys, you've managed to find that place with each other and allowing the other sides of yourselves to be exposed musically. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's interesting though that he mentions that he started this as kind of a bridge between the black community in New Jersey
mhm.
and the Latino Spanish speaking people.
Hmm.
And it brought him to the Portuguese speaking country of Brazil. So it's kind of nice how he kind of used that connection and then brought it here and applied it in a completely different way.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and,
what
and
it's really interesting that you said that because like that's when I think about like that's why sometimes when people tell me their plans that they have like yeah I'm gonna go to college and then in 2 years after I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna get my bachelor's my master's and then I'm gonna do this. I'm like, yeah, you can think all of that and I commend people who really know what they want and they stick with it. But I had a plan. I mean, if you go back to what everybody's original plan, my original plan was to get my degree. I did, but I wanted to go back and then get another where we had to do the alternate route program to and work in the school. And while I'm working in school, investing in my music, growing, investing in real estate, getting this and that. These were my life plans that I had for many years when I was young. I had no
mhm.
idea that I was going to lose a student when I was in the school. His name was Spencer Cottigan. He got murdered in 2010 in Plainfield, New Jersey, on Clinton and front West Front Street and Clinton Avenue. And I just gotten out of school and I was taking my brother Dante to his job and I seen the yellow tape. I saw this dude Duca. I was like, yo, Duca, what's going on? He was like, yo, a kid got killed. And then the next day Duca got killed,
Oh
which
my
was so
god.
crazy. And I was like, yo, what's going on in the
Yeah.
world, yo? This is all in 2010. And this was what
Mhm,
started my journey. I know that. I can tell you that this is the
mhm,
beginning of my journey because I was like, yo, that's when I found out that a lot of black kids were also hunting, killing and robbing a lot of undocumented immigrants because it's a
mm.
subworld you don't know about. It's an underworld. I didn't know about that
Oh
until
shit.
what you realize is that kids, teenagers, and I think I might have been the same, yo. they don't realize people are listening to their conversations and they talk loud. And I was in school teaching these kids, and I heard them like, yeah, what's good? You trying to go on a poppy hunt tonight? And I was like, what is that? What's a poppy hunt? And I was like, that's a weird word to say. And I started asking people, it's like, nah, nothing, Mr. Fields, you ain't nothing. And then I Googled it. And it's when I Googled poppy hunt, it went directly to my city, which was crazy.
That's insane.
It was insane. Like let me can I share can I share my screen for a second?
I'm not sure if you can. If you can, do it.
Let me see.
This is a first time event. We've never had a guest share his screen. By the way, I did put a quote up there, one of my favorites ever. Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. Because you never know. I mean, I think the important thing is always have your moral compass or whatever compass you have kind of guiding you. And then you just kind of go through stuff and you'll make it to the other side. Bishop, we do have a question here from Life Is. Speaking of Life Is, what happens to you? We do have a fan of the show. And he says, hello, Bishop. How did you begin your Portuguese learning journey? And how long did it take you to become conversational?
Okay, perfect. Can y'all see the screen?
Nope.
We cannot.
Okay, you see my face.
I don't think you can because Phil.
Oh no, I see it. He put it on here. There you go.
Okay, good.
There you go.
So I just put in poppy hunting, and it says Plainfield poppy hunting killers will stay in prison. So this is a thing that was happening at that time, and the kids had a slang for it, right? And they sometimes they kill these people because they're just easy victims. And this is what sent me on my journey because I didn't know these things were happening. You know what I mean? And I found out about it through hearing the kids talk. Seeing one of my students, because my student Spencer, they got murdered, and I'm just gonna stop sharing the screen. My student Spencer, he got murdered by a El Salvadoran, so MS-13 guy. So it was just like this was something that was brewing. So I wanted to say that. Now going to the question of Life Is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting question too, because I was speaking Spanish already. I learned when I went to Panama, so. It was just a transition kind of. The rules are very simple, you know.
But from Spanish to Portuguese, was that an easy transition?
I think it was easy, but the problem is there's no going back. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Mentally, I can't do it. Like my city is every time I go back home, my city is very Latino now. A lot of us ended up leaving, right? So I practiced my Spanish in my city that I grew up. When I was growing up, it was all black. But now I'm like, you know, ¿Adónde está right? So I'm doing that, but I'm doing it slow. I don't have the accent. I don't have the feel that I had after living in Panama and being around that. I gravitated towards that. Now when I see things about Panama, it's like I'm learning it, seeing it for the first time. Like I didn't live there. You know what I mean? So I would say that I did that transition. It was easy to understand the grammar and some of the pronunciation. And I took that and just kind of like tried to have conversations like it was Spanish with Portuguese words.
But with the Portuguese too, I think because you mentioned how you translated a lot of songs. At least I know for me that helped a lot when I was young. I used to translate. I've told this story a few times on the show where I had a little girlfriend when I was in high school, and I used to translate all these old Brazilian classics like Caetano Veloso, Maria Bethânia, Djavan, because those lyrics are gorgeous. It's like poetry. Like you don't even need the music. It's just it's poetry on the page. And I mean, that got me a lot of brownie points, and I learned a lot of Brazilian vocabulary off of those songs. So one way Life Is, and I know other guests have mentioned this on the show, that one way that they learn Portuguese is through the music because it's so rich. The music, the lyrics are so rich. And you can learn a lot, Life Is, if you just get a song that you like.
I've learned a lot from Velas, Virgins, and Matanza, man. Just those three bands. All I've learned is about fighting and fucking, but those are important things to learn about.
Absolutely. And more than just like learning the language, you learn a lot. Like I learned so much from listening to Brazilian rap. Like most of the Portuguese, like what made me like have that the go viral, like you were saying, is that I was like rapping the stuff, showing what I was learning through rap, but also telling people that this is how I'm learning your language. Like these guys are my teacher, like Hassan. I met Mano Brown, and I told them, I'm like, yo, you don't even know it, but you kind of taught me Portuguese, yo, because you enunciate, you talk. He raps slowly, And
Mm-hmm.
he's rapping about like really intricate stuff. What he's saying, like, and I'm learning about all these things. He have a song about the massacre in Karenjiru, which is a
Mm-hmm.
prison, right, where they
Yeah.
massacre. And so like I didn't know about. I'm like, what is this song about? It's super long. I'm like, how does he got like a 10-minute long song where he's just rapping, rapping, just going in, going in, going in. And I'm like, oh shit. And he's just like painting a whole vivid picture of how that massacre happened, the prison life. And I'm just like listening to it. I'm like, yo, this is brutal. This is super violent,
Yeah.
but it's like watching an action movie. And so, like I said, for me, it
They
was
made a
hype.
movie about it, actually.
They made a movie about it, yeah. A
Yeah,
documentary.
Yeah, there was a movie with Sal Giorgi, in
124, I
fact.
think it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah.
No, there's actually Karanjiru, the movie. I think Sal Giorgi is in there. And
Oh,
guys,
yeah,
I
yeah,
always
yeah.
promo. I always promo this documentary, y'all. If you guys have Netflix or
On
I mean,
Netflix.
the web is big, the internet is big. You can find other ways to watch this show, this
Pirate
movie,
Bay is
this
big.
documentary.
Yeah.
We don't
Yes, this
condone that. We
documentary,
don't
guys.
condone those things.
Yeah, we
Of
don't
course
condone any of
not,
that.
but
We're just saying it exists. But guys, watch this documentary, Racionais, das ruas de São Paulo pro mundo. It's from the streets of São Paulo to the world. It will give you a history lesson and a half. I love this because I've always liked them, but I've never like really, deep dived into Racionais. And then I was like, let me just really see what these guys are about. And they are majestic. They're incredible. All four of them. I mean, obviously, Mano Brown
Majestic.
is the face of it. Yeah, for me, it's majestic, dude, because what they were doing, like, there's a scene in the movie where they're rapping, and it's a bunch of kids. They're like 10, 12. Like, you get 10, 12-year-old kids that know Hasanai's lyrics, like, at the tip of their tongue. That got me emotional because when you look at like what the kids are singing today, which is a bunch of BS, and it's like old man yelling at clouds moment, but it just is. A lot of the music doesn't have as much of the lyrical content as it did before.
I don't say that. You don't never hear me saying that.
Well,
You know why
I
you don't hear me
do.
say
Well,
that?
I do, because I'm an
But
old.
you didn't come up. You didn't come up exactly when I came up, and you didn't come up
Yes.
in the same environment that I came up. Bro, I came up as a person in hip hop that always felt like I was in the wrong generation. I'm glad that I was in the wrong generation. I'd be like 50 something now if I was in the generation that I am supposed to be in because my mother's about to be 80.
Yes.
Oh, take that out. I just sent her the link. She probably doesn't want me telling people her
age. But
but I'm saying I was born in the wrong generation.
At least your mother's still alive. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. And I thank the Lord every day. And you know what? She's coming here, and I'm very happy about that.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
Very
she's
cool.
coming here. I didn't want to feel like I was getting away from your question, but
I'm just saying in general. I mean, I just as far as like the whole majestic thing, I just thought that was a beautiful moment because you don't see that as much. You don't see that like because those are hard lyrics. They're not easy lyrics for a child to just be able to spit out.
But it's based on their reality.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah, so I thought it was a beautiful documentary. So guys, really check that one out if you want to learn a little bit about hip hop history. And actually, there's a nice scene in there too with Ice-T in Brazil. He came down to visit them, which was really cool.
Yeah, I seen that video when I was still in the States actually. With him, with Ice-T, he came to basically around where I live now, actually. And he's looking at the whole place and he was just like, yo, man, it's kind of hood here. But he's talking about the violence that existed in Los Angeles. Like, oh, it's not the same. Like the infrastructure is better, but we still got a lot of problems with violence. We got gangs and stuff like that. And he went there, and I shout out to Ice-T too because he was out here during the time where this was like the worst area in the whole world.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you go to Capone today. Yeah, you can walk around Capone today, for the most part. I mean, there's some parts you probably don't want to walk around in, but back then it was like, oh my Lord, I know a few famous folks down here that are from Capone, and it was rough. Actually, o Léo Aquila de Capão Redondo, não é? Yeah, I think Leo Aquila, who was she gave a nice interview. She's a trans woman, and she grew up there and just like trying to like get to school. It was dangerous, just catching a bus was dangerous. So really rough part of São Paulo, but better now. It's way better now than it was back then.
It's great to hear that that Ice-T of all people went through that, because he kind of made a career musically out of like saying like Los Angeles is this multiracial shithole where everyone is killing each other, and um, the fact that he came here and had that experience and seeing like, dude, there's another level. I'm sure that probably changed his perspective in a lot of ways.
I don't think so, because you still go home and you still okay. It's another level, but that's what people don't understand. Levels is one thing, and even when things get better, that's one thing. But when you're in the middle of it and your family is dying too, you don't care that
Right.
better. You don't care that there's another level that's worse.
Yeah.
Like, yo, look at what I'm in. When you're poor, you don't care that there's somebody that's literally starving right now. Like, you care, but it's not like, yo, you're thinking about your problems at this one moment.
Yeah. Well, there's the last man theory, though, right? Like, we're always told, like, no matter how bad things are, somebody is worse off than you. But if you go far enough down the ladder, right, there's the last man, like the one person who is not worse off than anyone else.
Well, who is that person?
Who is that guy?
Same
So
person.
I bet they live in Haiti. that would be my guess. They live in Haiti.
Well, there's a lot of places in the
Or in
world,
Afghanistan.
Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of places in the world that we can talk about that. But if let's say you're a person that lives in the middle of the bush, right, in any part of the world, and you hunt and gather, you're better off than most people. You know, the indigenous people in these aldeias, if you look at their gut biome, you know what I mean, and they eat like they'll hunt a tattoo. You know, tattoo. How do you say that again? We have that word. We have that
tattoo
animal.
Is a
armadillo.
Yeah, tattoo.
Armadillo. If like they be eating those stuff, that stuff will give you leprosy. You know, they give leprosy armadillos. You can't eat that stuff. But the indigenous, they've been eating those things. Their gut biome is healthier. It's like 100 times healthier than yours. You know, that's eating all this industrial food, and their teeth only get messed up when they get introduced things with sugar, because they don't have a habit of even brushing their teeth. But if you look at an indigenous person's teeth, they're usually very perfect, but they don't have all of the luxury stuff. Are they worse off? Are they the last?
Well, again, it depends because there are some indigenous villages where they're fighting for the rights to have some basic like sanitation and stuff like that. Chagas is actually a really terrible disease that affects a lot of indigenous folks. In fact, guys, let me just do a little promo. Professor Antonio will be here next week, and he's an indigenous guy, and we had a really good show with him speaking about indigenous issues. So it's a tough one,
Chagas, isn't Chagas from a beetle that could affect anybody if you scratch the bite?
Like but it occurs a lot because they live in areas where there's a lot of this beetle. Actually, I slept in an aldea that had an issue with Chagas, and they warned us.
You ain't getting me to go in them. I think I've seen one of those beetles in my house. Yeah, you gotta show the people on here in case they want to come to Brazil what the Chagas beetle looks like.
Actually, I've never seen one myself. Let me see.
They're colorful. They're colorful. It's like a diamond shaped, colorful. They come in different colors.
Oh, I've seen these guys before.
I've seen them in the streets. Fortunately, never in my house. My God.
I've seen one in my house.
There they are, guys.
Not too long ago. Not too long ago.
Yeah, sometimes it's still the wild wilderness down here, even if you're in the city, guys. So you got to be careful a little bit.
God damn, I get spider monkeys outside my windows sometimes.
Yes, I get a few. I got a little family close to my house.
Spider monkey? Are you sure it's a spider monkey?
Mm-hmm.
They have spider monkeys in Sao Paulo?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not a macaco?
There's the mico leão. You get a few of those. You do get a few spider monkeys, especially if you go up to Jaraguá, or not Jaraguá, Jaraguá, the pico. But listen, I want to just get us back on track a little bit because I want you to talk about this album. Like, what's the whole story behind it, the inspiration behind it? What's going on?
I like the question that Life Is posted about because he said the journey, your language journey, and this whole thing is called Longa Jornada. Is the name of the album. It's the long journey, and it's a mixture, like you said, between Portuguese and English, between all the cultures. We even have a skit where we talk about the journey of the drum, right? Because one of the things that like
Mm-hmm.
the whole focus on the album, we don't talk about this too much, only on a skit, but we go into different genres, right? Because there's a part of the album where we have a samba song. Like I'm not singing samba, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we invited singers that are extremely talented. Shout out to Demetrius Silva. Shout out to Denise. And these people are extremely talented. And you met Denise before, probably Demetrius. And like that shows a different drum, right? When we're talking about the journey
Mm-hmm.
to drum. And then we got another song that's based on funk. That's a different drum. And
My
then
favorite rhythm.
about the journey to drum, because our music in the United States is really focused on the voice domination, syncopation, a lot of hand claps, stomping. That came from back during slavery, and the drum was taken and was removed from us, so
Uh-huh.
removed. We found the drum. The drum went through a journey in other places, and that's what gave life to jazz, Negro spiritual, gospel, jazz, blues, R&B, rock and roll. All these different genres was because they took the drum with the journey of that coming
Your
from
audio's
similar
cutting out a
eras.
little bit. There you go. Now you're back.
Me? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
now you're
you're
back.
fine. You're fine.
Because we talking about different drums. We're talking about different drums from different peoples, right? So in Brazil, they kept the drums, so that it lended itself to different styles, and the way that they hear it. Even when like we were doing the album and we were snapping,
Mm-hmm.
like me, I'm like this, and Brandon, I'll talk about him too. We did a snap like that, but the Brazilians were like, "Oh, y'all snap different than how we snap," and that was an interesting
Mm-hmm.
conversation that we have. I think we recorded that. It's like, nah, because our snap is this snap, and we do it on a one and this. And I don't know if you realize that, but even the snap and how they catch the beat, it's a little
Yeah,
different here.
completely
So
different.
the idea was a mixture of those worlds, to show the
Mm-hmm.
world. And I think like it took 10 years for us to do. Number one, because I needed like really good production. And I wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
going to do it with no good production. And through you, actually, Phil, we was able to meet Brandon Farmer, because Drum
Love him.
Wisdom is his name.
Love him.
Really, 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 really dope drummer and really, really dope producer that really helped us out.
And dope person. I love
Oh,
him.
he's a
Yeah.
dope person. Absolutely.
He's, yeah.
But
He's
but
majestic.
absolutely. And like me and him, it really made this whole album take on this really, really professional sound that I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I would have got with anybody else that I could have found. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With my inside of my budget constraints that I had. When I say budget constraints, we dropped a load on that album. Like I didn't get my car fixed. My car is still in front of my house, broke down for a year and a half now, because all of the money that I would have fixed that, I just put a lot of money into this album. You know what I mean? But that's because we were able to create something that, I mean, it's so beautiful, right? And there have been so many experiences within the recording of it that it showed me leadership in a different way. I'm learning a lot about leadership and how to deal with people. And through this whole
Mm-hmm.
experience, me and Brandon have actually, and I think this is the first time that I'm really saying it out loud. No, I said it on another podcast recently, that we are starting a production company, and Phil, you're going to be involved in this too. And it's going to be
Okay.
called Black Gringo Productions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what it is weird. Brandon is doing the beats.
Oh,
I'm writing some of the lyrics. It could be chorus, just chorus. But like, let's say you're a rapper
mm-hmm.
and you need a hook. You need a dope hook in Portuguese or in English, right? You're a Brazilian rapper. You want a hook in English, somebody that can sing really good on it. Like, it doesn't have to be me at all, but we're gonna write the hook for you. Brandon's gonna do the beat. It's gonna be perfect. You're gonna have a ready song, and you just gotta hop on it and do your verse. Or we can make like real ballads. And so the things that we did on this album together are gonna serve as portfolio so that we can just do this with more people, because I'm kind of starting to get addicted to it. I like coming through it like a phonographic producer, like, yo, I hear this person on this, like, Phil, you connected me with some artists, like, let's say, this is for Camila Pitaya, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is for
Viviane.
her. Viviane Pitaya, Scuba Viviane. This here is for Viviane Pitaya. I like her. I like her style. I like the way she, So Brandon, look at this artist, and he'll like design something around that, and then we'll design like something for an artist like that. And that's what I just want to do. I want to do that for a lot of artists out here.
Well, that gets us right into really the theme of the show, which we've been kind of dancing around, getting into it a little bit, but not full throttle, which is this idea of connecting the cultures through art, through culture, through music, through film, and all of these things. And I just want to get your perspective on that, like why that's important to you, because not everybody's in that vibe. Even there are foreigners down here that do make music, but they're making like definitely their music from their culture. They're not trying. Which again, guys, I'm not judging. Everybody's got their own vibe, But sometimes it's just an Irish dude that wants to come down here and do Irish music for Brazilians. Good for him. But what is it that attracts you about this connection, and how are you building it through the music and the culture? This connection between Brazil and US and other countries too.
I've been trying to build and promote this connection for many years. I mean, rest in peace to Leandro Caproni. He was my brother. He did music videos. He had an opportunity to go to the United States and buy some cameras because he was, filming for some bigwigs out here. And he was like, yo, if you got any rappers or any musicians out there, let them know that I'll do these amount of videos for them for this price, which is unbeatable for the United States. But for him, it made him a lot of money. So, man, I hooked him up with so many rappers in the United States. He did like three music videos for my brother Lyle, and, he ended up dying when he came back. Some kid hit him with his BMW, went out of control. Oh, wow. He was on it. Yeah, just when he was like, his career filming was going, he had signed a contract with Afropunk. So these are things like, even Brandon, I connected Brandon with Lyle. Like, my whole thing is just like, I want a lot of people here in Brazil that I know, even around here in Capão Redondo, they don't have a lot of opportunities. My brother Alberto, you met Alberto before. I always tell everybody about him so that he can do film work. He's an amazing videographer, and and he's out here in Capão. And I see a lot of people, a lot of musicians, a lot of like Eric. I connected you with Eric too because he's from around here. A lot of musicians that are really, really talented. A lot of producers that are really, really talented. A lot of videographers. A lot of dancers. Everything that you need in this area of my micro city, my my area of Sao Paulo, which is like a city. Capão has 250,000 people. It's like North. It's the same population as the whole North New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's like my hometown.
Yeah, so it's like, and I rarely go to the center. Like, you're talking about Augusta. I haven't even seen the gentrification there. Last time I was there, I was with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Oh yeah, for the Indian festival. Well, look, what you're saying though, I think it's so interesting, because then I kind of want to get your perspective on this, of where you think the whole music movement is here, because one of the few issues that I think Brazil has when it comes to making music, one is that it's a poor country. A lot of people don't have the funds to really support their own music career. So even just buying an instrument, buying an instrument, like buying a guitar, is like really expensive. By the way, I did not forget that I owe somebody a guitar, and she will get it.
And you sacrifice your profession, like
you got to sacrifice
what it takes to make real money.
Exactly.
Like, are you going to be a musician, or are you going to work at a pet store? For example?
Exactly,
the pet store probably pays better.
And it's a country that can grind you down, because especially if you live in São Paulo, because it's a busy place. So you don't. It's tough to find time to make the music, but at the same time, have some return on the music. And I always talk about this, Jordan, as far as like my difficulties down here. And I think I'm finally coming back to my own. I'm saying like I'm getting my mojo back musically, because for so long in Brazil, it was tough to like balance it. Like in the US, I literally I could meet a few guys. I see that they play well. Hey, let's set up a show. We could be having a show at a nice club like in 1-2 weeks. Here it's like even just setting something up to like, let's have an event
No,
to
I
like,
agree with that.
and it's insane. So you really got to learn. So I like that what you're doing, because it not only helps Brazilians who are trying to get into art and music, but also people that are from outside of Brazil, to how to manage the whole way that Brazil operates when you're trying to do music down here, because it can
That's
really,
exactly.
it can
That's
get you
exactly.
down on yourself. You're like, oh my god, did I lose my talent? Did I fall and hit my head? Like, what's going on?
I've gone
Until
through
you,
that so many times that
yes,
what
I
you're
know.
talking about, I've definitely felt that a
Yes,
lot. So that's a real thing.
it
And
is.
especially like right now, we're trying to even plan ahead events because this album's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be come out on March 29th, and we're trying to plan ahead some
Mm-hmm.
events.
Say that
But
again.
man,
The
it's
date?
May. I'm
May
sorry,
29th.
May
May
29th.
29th, guys.
That
Next
month.
week.
Yeah.
That's next week, basically. Yeah. And so, we're trying to do some album release stuff, trying to do things with a band. Man, it's really difficult to get people to
Mm-hmm.
come together, man. And but even still, we constantly are doing it. And like I said, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's taken 10 years. And part of that reason too is the bread. Like we're talking about. It's really expensive to make this music stuff
It is
happen.
extremely
And I
expensive.
came to Brazil with nothing. It took me 10 years to get to a financially comfortable place. Not,
Mm-hmm.
rich or whatever, not having a whole lot, but I'm comfortable enough where I can invest in it and I won't hurt it. But still a lot of times people look at me because I'm from the United States and they want help from me when sometimes I needed the help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
help that could have
Yeah.
the help and investment that could have came from, and I don't want to do these grants and stuff like my wife was doing before. We decided like we're not gonna do that. We're gonna invest in our own stuff. Because if I want to say bad things about the government, me personally, I'm not taking any money from them to talk bad about them. Because at the point where I take the money, it's just like I kind of like, but I don't want to judge people. A lot of people do that, so I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that, and anybody who does it is complacent or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not something I wanted to do to come to Brazil and take government money. But there are people that I know also that know me that like could have been like, yo, I see the vision and see what he's trying to do. Let me invest. Let me make sure that didn't happen. But I didn't like cry about it. So we just like, oh, it's gonna take a lot longer. We gotta find a way to get financially stable, working for ourselves without trying to get a job working for somebody else. I haven't worked for another person since 2017. Very
Yeah.
proud about that. It took a lot. We went through a lot of highs and lows. We've gone through every possible thing you could possibly go through.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, we were
Uh,
talking about that a couple weeks ago. It feels like I've lived 20 lives down here. And it's funny you said
Definitely.
2017 is when is you haven't worked for somebody, and I'm the opposite. That's when I started working for somebody else in 2017, and I got a contract job, and it has its benefits. I'm not going to complain, and I'm
I
definitely looking
imagine.
forward to that what do you call it? The that little cash that you get when you get fired here. The I forgot what you call
The
it in English.
severance.
Yeah, severance pay. Ooh, I'm looking for that severance pay. But I totally get what you're feeling, because it took me about 10 years too. It's funny you're saying 10 years, because um, it was around the time I started working at the high school, even a little bit before, when I started to sort of kind of try to figure out what do I want to do. And it's like finally, like it seems like all the right people and all the right things are in place. But guys, Brazil is a place where you got to really just do it yourself if you want to get it done.
Hmm.
Like, don't wait for somebody to believe in the dream with you. Jordan and I were talking about this, I think, once, Jordan, about even Espaço 337, because I got into that spot kind of by mistake. Like, I wasn't expecting things to happen the way they did.
It
And I
went
realized
fast,
quickly,
man.
yeah, and I realized quickly, like, I need help with this. And I was like, who do I turn to? Because I'm not going to turn to a Brazilian. And again, no shade, no tea, no shade. But Brazilians, and it's not their fault, because the country is so up and down. You don't know what's going to happen in 2 years. That I don't think Brazilians have that investment mentality of like, let me invest in this and see what
I
happens.
mean,
Because
a lot of people do though. It's there's people you might say there's a higher percentage of people in the United States that have that, but a lot of people, I think a lot of people
you
in Sao
do,
Paulo have
it's
that.
like eventually you find those people. That's the thing. Like, I think I finally started finding those people, but it's hard to find them, because a lot of times you don't know what's going to happen. It's like, I'm not going to spend 10 months of the year trying to build something that I don't know if it's going to actually be something. But then the minute that it's there, like you saw with Espaço 337, as soon as we set it up, and it's there, then the people start coming in, like, but
You
very
build it.
rarely do I see like just from scratch. Like we're just gonna start from zero. We have a
I
dream.
don't
Let's
think
make
that
the dream a
works
reality.
though. I don't think that works anywhere though.
I think it does, man. I think
Was
it
it?
does.
If you haven't seen the grind of that particular person that's starting, so like if it's
Mm-hmm.
just any person, because I had to have seen you start something in the past for me to get on board, or at least start
Mm-hmm.
something that failed. At least I saw you try. But if I see you a talker, yeah, I got this plan and got this idea, I'm not going to come through unless I see something concrete in your history that showed me that you've done things before. This is
Of
where like I'm.
course. No, I get that. Definitely. You don't want to just to like talk and talk, and just say, look, I'm gonna do. Of course you gotta back it up with a little bit. But I still think just culturally it's different. I think that's for me the biggest difference is that I think if you show somebody a little bit of that portfolio, a little bit of what you've done, and you say, hey, I got this idea for this, this, and this, let's go. I think in the US, it moves a lot faster than down here. Here, it's way more cautious of like, all right, are you sure? Da, da, da. And then people disappear for a month and then they come back and then it's carnival. And then and you're like, shit, man,
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do this like since 2 years ago. Like, what's going on? Like, that's
That's what
happened to
Yeah,
me.
the amount
Uh,
of business contacts that Phil and I have who have like come to us with like requests and ideas, and they're willing to pay all this money and blah
oh,
blah
yeah.
blah, and then they just disappear.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot harder to get taken seriously here, no
this,
matter
No.
what kind of credentials you have.
in this
Yeah.
situation, this is the reason why the name of the album is Long as You're Not in the first place. Like we had that name, and then I tried to make a story around it with the album because I was complaining to this our brother. He lives a little far now. He lives around the area where you're trying to move, Phil. But like Mongagua around there, and he was like, he was at my house one day, and I was complaining. I'm like, yo, things are going slow, man. I had this plan for my life when I got out here that I had this idea for
Oh,
this
sorry.
album, and I want to rude. No, I'm playing. And I wanted to do this album with my wife. We got these ideas, these songs, but I can't get producers. I can't get people. I'm doing all this. The guys that you guys are saying, a lot of talking and canceling and right in the hour that we were supposed to have the thing happen, and then just be like, oh, something came up, and yeah, a lot of people do that. You know what I mean? And like, I was complaining about it. And he was like, yo, this is Brazil. It's like
Yeah.
you gotta just go. You can't just be trying to rush something and like, oh, I'm this age. I'm trying to make this happen by this age. You gotta just enjoy the journey. That's what he said. Enjoy the journey because the journey might be long. And then when he said that, I'm like, oh shit, I like that. I gotta focus on that. And then that became the name of the album. And that was like, I'm complaining about this, but this was like 6 years ago when we had that conversation. But we also had COVID. It was a lot of different things that slowed this process down. But I'm just really happy that it happened, that it's coming out when it's coming out, specifically because I feel like we have a higher, uh, um, the potential group of people that would be interested in this album is much higher now because Brazil out of nowhere just got super popular. I mean, sometimes I think it's just the universe uh, just like being happy, just helping me along because nobody, even people in my family, wasn't really checking for Brazil like that. Nobody came to visit me, only my mother and her friend. But
Yeah,
now that
nobody will
Brazil,
come visit me in Brazil, man. Nobody.
but somebody might go to Rio and like, are you gonna be in Rio? I'm not going to visit you in Sao Paulo, but if you're gonna be in Rio, I'm gonna be there because everybody
Yeah,
in Rio
actually, that's
came
not
over.
true. My brother came here.
You see,
Yeah,
recently though,
but
you talking about
my
recently?
brother's been to 89 countries. He's ex-military, so for him, Brazil is nothing. But that's what it takes. It takes people who've been in the military to
Look,
come to
I
No,
Sao
no, no,
no,
no.
Paulo.
I have a theory. I have like sorry, I have a mini theory on that, and I think it's just the world has gotten smaller because I think even for Brazilians, I see like, I was thinking of sometimes I'm just around the house thinking shit, and I remember when I first got here, how even like just blacks, like it was hard to see a black face in a magazine. Me and my friend Elisa, my soul sister, we used to joke about how we used to play this game. Sorry, bad term, but spot the blackie, right? We did that. I said that ironically because we'd be like, where are the black people in the magazines? At any ad, any advertisement, anything, and it wasn't there. And now, guys, it's like it's only been what I've been here since 2008, so it's not like it was yesterday, but it's been a while. But you see, it's different. Things have changed, and I think a lot of that comes from just internet, TikTok, Instagram. Like Brazil sees how the
Yeah.
rest of the world lives, the rest of the world sees how Brazil lives. We've been able to like kind of bridge that gap a little bit, and I think people's mentalities have changed. I think Brazilians are way more um, universally minded now than they were before. I feel, and I because before, I mean, Brazilians have always liked international stuff, but it always felt kind of like they say here the vira lata type stuff, where like they're kind of they get down on themselves and America is the best and English music is the. It's like no, Brazilian music is some of the best in the world.
I
Love
really
your
like
own stuff.
Brazilian music. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love when Brazilians love Brazil. That
yeah,
Vida
but
Lata shit, I don't have patience
I don't.
for it too much, man. I
I
don't
don't
like
have
it.
it either, but I feel like now it's more organic where it's like no, we're just actually sharing our cultures and it's not like, oh, I want to be an American rapper, so I'm going to hang out with Jordan. No, it's not that feel. It's like
Mm.
I love what he's bringing from an American style. He loves what I'm bringing from a Brazilian style, and we're having this connection. Which even that happened to me a lot with Naldo. Everybody, you guys know Naldo that I play bass with a lot.
Ronaldo.
He
Mhm.
was like the
Yeah,
first
no,
person.
Naldo as well.
No, he was the first person for me that finally it took like, those 10 years where I was like, wow, I found somebody here that gets where I'm coming from musically and he's willing to have that conversation with me and he's bringing me all the Brazilian stuff, I'm bringing him all the US stuff and we're meeting in the middle and creating something new.
Mhm.
It's a really cool feeling, but I think that's a maturing process and I think that comes a lot from how small the world has become. So it's a perfect time. It's a really perfect
It
time
is.
for musicians, especially because we have so many ways to get music out there and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
or any artist. It doesn't
And
matter whether you're a musician, a filmmaker, a
Not the perfect
writer.
time financially, but just to get out
Yeah,
there and get
yeah.
your stuff out there. You
Financially,
want
it's
to
a bitch.
make it very clear that there's not a lot of future in creativity right now, especially with AI. But I would say this, like I think it's just Brazil's popularity is coming at some amazing time because it just shows like this is a centenary culture, right? Like for hundreds of years, Brazilians have been doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like the
hmm
same, samba and all, but the world's just finding out about it. It's not like
hmm
something that's being packaged and sold to the world, like let's say K-pop or Korean films or whatever. This is
hmm
something that probably didn't exist in the same way, and it was kind of packaged for soft power. This is like a clear thought, like we're gonna sell a product and make people like us, and we don't have a lot of different weapons that we could, you know what I mean, that we could defend ourselves with, and that's
Well,
genius. But I think that's happening with
uh-huh.
Brazil right now naturally. Like it's not being
It is.
packaged
It's
in.
very natural, and I think the music and oh, again, I gotta always promo the show, guys. Next week, listen to the show about Tropicalia because what Jordan is saying, I agree with you, but don't because in the '60s, I mean, Jobim was the second most recorded artist in the world behind the Beatles. Like
Bon
everybody,
Jovi.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I remember in the '80s, like
yeah.
especially like what you were talking about the massacre
Mm-hmm.
at the
Carandiru.
whatever the hell. Yeah,
Carinho, yeah.
Brazil was really on the radar, but it also put a lot of other things about Brazil on the radar, like
Mm-hmm.
the music, the
Yeah,
culture.
I
yeah.
So
understand everything that you guys are saying,
But it's different
but
now. It's
it's
bigger now.
never had this many international travelers and the vibe of everything that Brazil is. I didn't live through that all that you're
Mm-hmm.
saying before. Like I wasn't around
yeah,
through Tom Jobim, and I wasn't around in the '80s. I mean, kind of, but not to notice anything, right? But
yeah,
at the same time, like I saw certain Brazil booms before. You know what I mean? But this is definitely of all the history, this is the biggest it's ever been,
It
and it's
is. It
so
is.
that
I
people
agree.
using hashtag Brazilian and talking about Brazil just for just to get people to watch their videos, for engagement. on social media. Everything's about Brazil, even when it's not about Brazil now. I don't know if you noticed that or if it's just my algorithm showing it to me.
No, I agree with you, and I think the what's different now from before is that before it was only like kind of like the traditional music, and I think Americans knew what bossa nova it was. Obviously, bossa nova's traveled the world, um, but all the other rhythms, I think that's why I always like to do shows about music on the podcast because guys, it's so rich. I mean, if you think Brazil is just samba and bossa nova, you're like it's like 1% of 1% of what Brazilian
It's a
music is.
lot.
There's
It's a
so much
lot.
variety. And I think now it's being exposed more. I mean, of course, Sepultura was huge in the US, so it showed, okay, Brazil's got heavy metal too. But I don't think it's ever been as, like you said, you got Anita out there, you got Pablo Vittar out there. What's her name? Just did a tiny desk that like NPR was sharing, Gloria Groove, which was wonderful, her tiny desk. So it's like people are paying attention to like, wow, Brazil's got more to offer than just the traditional rhythms. And I think a lot of times, especially from when you're coming from the US, you have this kind of you pigeonhole everything. Oh, Indian music is just that, and Japanese music is just that. And
But there is
you
a
know,
sound though, like if you
there
had this,
is.
what's the sound of Brazil? It's the cuica, it's the
It is.
pandeiro.
No,
You
of
know what I mean?
course.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I think the best example of this is what they call rock national. Like, if you really want to pigeonhole like what the Brazilian sound is, you have to look at rock national, which is like
mhm.
the Brazilian rock music of the '80s,
But I
and
Yes,
it
wouldn't say that's
spans like
Brazilian sound though,
it
right?
is. It
Because
is. It's very
it
Brazilian. Trust
is though.
me. Not
It
regular
is.
rock.
It's
Yeah.
'80s rock, but
Yeah.
there's something about it that is different, and you can't put your finger on it.
Exactly. And it's
And the
very
thing you can't
cool.
put your finger on is the Brazilian sound.
Exactly, exactly. And I think people are getting more they see it more. I mean, social media has brought that more, and I think it's a back and forth conversation, whereas before it felt more colonial. It's like it's Carmen Miranda we like, and we like Jobim with the soft little bossa nova, and it's like you're just hitting the traditional like check, which I think is normal. I think
you know
our
what got me?
brains
I'm
categorize
sorry.
stuff easier that way. No, I just last little point that I wanted to make because you brought that up about how it's popular now. The Tropicalia movement, guys, is one of the most important movements where it started to change. Brazilian music started to change because Caetano and all these guys, Tom Zé, they started to do exactly what we're talking about right now. They started to listen to the Beatles, but also to soul music, but also to João Gilberto, and how do those three combine? They don't, but they do when you start to listen to Tropicalia. So a lot of what's happening today, it feels like it's almost like that Tropicalia movement where you get a black kid from the ghetto here who's listening to Rihanna, but also listening to, some old samba singer. And it's like, where do these two connect? They connect somewhere, and that artist brings it out. So it's a very exciting moment for music for me. I think I'm very like interested in a lot of the young artists, a lot of what they're coming out with. So sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Jordan.
No, and it's interesting too because that's exactly like you said. That's what this album is about too. Because one thing that I've fallen in love with, I wasn't in love with it when I first came out here because what brought me out here was really like the rap, and the rap that was really visceral and about the crazy stuff that was going on in the same community that I ended up living in, which was so weird and random when you really think about it. But I didn't really. I would hear the pagode, samba pagode in the background, and it always like get to me. But I think of all of the music here, that's the music that most touches me. Besides just like drumming always like something when I go to my wife's tejero. I feel something. I don't really know what it is, but it's like it's doing something to me that I can't really explain. But the pagode, it reminds me of the music that I grew up listening to, but with a different rhythm. Like it reminds me of R&B from the '90s when I think about like a lot of pagode music from the '90s.
Very meloso.
Yo, I love that music. It reminds me, like whenever I leave Brazil, right, for an extended amount of time, like I go back to the States, I always imagine like when I go back, I go to a samba with my wife and just listen to some of these pagodes from the Noventa. Like that would be like the ideal moment. That's how I see Brazil when I'm not in Brazil. You know what I'm saying? Like at a bar or something, just my wife, me and her, and just listening to right. Deixa acontecer. like that type of stuff. Like it's dope. So I've been like going deep, and we had, like I said, we got a song, a Pagoji song. You know, it's actually produced by we got Saturno, who is like an excellent producer. He does this thing with Leo Barboza. It's called Noichi R&B. You guys, you got to go to the next one. It's really, 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 really dope. If you guys like R&B, but some of the like really good singers that don't have these huge names, that's like the water hole where they all go. You know what I mean? And it's a good event. And I didn't go to the last two, but I went to one of them, and I made a lot of connections through that event, and Saturno was one of them, and he produced that track. But we had the people from Samba da Praça Grajaú, which every Saturday, if you guys are coming to visit Sao Paulo, and
if we're ever lost,
if you ever
end up in Grajaú,
you end up in Grajaú on a Saturday. Go to the process right next to the CPTM, the train. You get off the train, just like look at it. So they're gonna say exactly where it is. I don't know the name of the exact process. And you're gonna have some soul washing. You know, it washes the soul. You're gonna hear everybody sing and everybody's there.
A good pagoji will definitely clean your soul. I got a few good videos of me and Kira at some good sambas and pagojis. Yeah, guys, it's a vibe when you go. Like, I'm not a huge fan of pagode. Actually, I don't like it that much unless it's live, and then it's like, woof, it's a whole nother.
You don't like beast. The records?
By the way,
records?
No, yeah, but that's a different pagode, man. Like, I'm old again. I'm showing my age. Like, I'm into the pagode, which was like, it was almost like it was like jokey. Like, it was just about daily life and just like running from the police and like, you know, not letting your wife beat you with a broomstick. It was funny music, you know. Like one of my favorite
That's
albums.
Like brega. That's a brega.
No, Assalto no Ônibus, pagode. I used to listen to this all the time. Partido Alto, which is kind of like a samba, but it mixes a little bit of pagode. Partido Alto. I'm into old school pagode. I think the last band, although they're not really pagode.
This is like 80s.
Oh, this is 80s. This Alta Samba is like the last pagode band, which again, I mean, it's getting kind of late, but one thing that kind of infuriates me a little bit about pagode is how whitewashed it's become in the last like decade or so. Producers kind of got their hand on it, and it's like it's too produced for me right now. It's too like ugh. Not a huge fan of it. I want to know what Seresta music is, because I've never heard of that before. Anthony says he loves Seresta music. I was looking it up. They said it.
Yeah, it's an interesting. What is that? I'm also.
Yeah, he said. I'm afraid to like play it and get hit with some.
You shouldn't do that. Yeah, I don't think you should do that.
Let me see. Let's just do like 5 seconds. Let's see what we get here, because I can do a little bit and we can talk over it a little bit.
I guarantee it's going to sound like Ashe.
1, 2, 3. Okay, I know this music. Not my favorite type of music in the world.
Oh, okay, I can see it in a boteco.
Yeah, this is boteco music. By the way, boteco guys are like
this is what they play in the bar under my apartment.
Yeah.
Kind of like
not my favorite type of music. But
it's nice. These are good. These are good. Those are good. Yeah, when you get a little liquor in you, those are one of them dancing.
Sertanejo music too. We got a few questions, Jordan. We got a few questions. Life is here says, I forgot to ask, did you start out in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro? Did you know Charles Tyler and Yusuf? We definitely knew Yusuf. I didn't know Charles. They were the first Americans I heard talk about Brazil. Real quick, just with Watif, like this. Okay. But with Watif, we both knew Watif. I think Jordan knew Watif
as well.
Yeah, and there's an episode of the show where he was on, which sadly I think was the last.
It was the last time anyone ever heard from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful, man.
Recipe to both of them brothers.
You might not be around for long.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's for everybody. We never know, what the number is called. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, Charles Tyler, who was? I don't remember Charles.
It was in Rio. Charles was in Rio. He had a group. I was in his group or whatever. I mean, he's a dope dude. There were people that didn't like him or whatever, because some people just don't like when people show, the women and stuff like that. I was in his group. He wasn't one of those dudes though. He was just a cool dude, and I just talked to him, whatever. And I don't think he was living in real. He just always come down. But I think he had a heart attack, or something like that when he was on the beach or something. I don't remember. I don't want to say. But he passed away, man. Everybody got a lot of people passed away out here.
This guy right here.
That's him, yeah.
Well, I never met him. This was before my time, or maybe whatever.
No, it wasn't. You were down here. You were down here.
Oh, okay.
I was down here already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Watif, we definitely, because he was down here in São Paulo. So I actually met Watif at work. So rest in peace, Watif. Real interesting dude. Real cool dude.
Watif actually tried to get me. Lena we made a video talking. Lena actually talked about this on the video. Like, he was trying to like make sure that I didn't come to Kapun. Because when he found out I was coming out here, he's like, you're crazy if you go out there. He's like, you're gonna get murdered. He's like, yo, out there is crazy, man. It's just it's a dangerous
this
place.
Is coming from like an absolute giant, too.
No, he was a giant, but he was well aware of his surroundings. Like when you walk with him, he's always looking around. Like,
no, but he always said he felt more threatened here than he did in the United States, which struck me as really weird.
Threatened, like he used those words, threatened.
Yeah, well, no, he used the words in danger, like you were more at danger. In the United States than you were in Brazil.
I mean, I don't think nobody can say anything like that. A lot of people say things like that, but nobody can say anything like that because a country is a country and a city is a city. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah, I agree with that completely.
And an individual was an individual. We talk about this a lot. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago with Peter and I. We were discussing like safe places, and I talked about Salvador, how I felt safe there. But man, a lot of it has to do with the color of my skin. You know, I remember I was there with Kira, and this is so funny, guys. They were trying to sell her a little collar in this very touristic part of the city called Pelourinho, and they were going to charge her like 30 reais for this collar. And then the dude looked at me and he's like, "Oh, tu é baiano." And then I put on my best baiano accent. I was like, "Sou mesmo." I don't know how I did it. But then he sold it for me for like 10 reais. He sold me the same collar. So it's like, sometimes it's like you might stand out. Like, I don't know, you know, a lot of people travel to the south of Brazil. Maybe if you're a white person, you go to the south, you'll feel like this is the safest place ever. Man, there's a lot of Nazi, like not conspiracy theory Nazis, like actual Nazis that live in the south. You know?
I ain't going out there.
So
I went to Floripa.
Yeah, so safe is such a relative term. Sometimes, well, not always. There's numbers to back some stuff up, but a lot of times it can just be like who you are individually. What energy you put out is going to make you feel like a place is safe or not. So I don't know. I think you got to have your own space about the place you're at. Yeah, go ahead.
And you remember that girl from America who was visiting when we were hanging out in Carnival, and I was kind of trying to give her tips. Yeah. I was giving her tips on how to survive, and she's like, "I heard white guys get mugged a lot more than black people do." I was like, "You have no idea, man. I've been mugged like 11 times."
Really?
At least. No, I don't know if it's 11.
Pete's had a guy jump out of him from the bushes. Pete.
Yes, yeah, he jumped out of the bushes.
Pete is the asterisk. Pete is the asterisk. Like,
yo,
so
what?
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's all a matter of perspective, I guess.
No, one day we got to do like the top 10 crazy shit. No, we got to do the top 10 crazy shit that's happened to Pete in São Paulo, because he's been like in what's that? The quicksand. He had this guy put him on the table, put a knife on, like a lot of crazy.
Why do you like it here?
Well.
Why do you like it here? What is so good about being in São Paulo?
Yeah, I don't really know. Actually, these days it's mostly being able to stay at home.
Well, you could do that in Bangkok or some shit like that.
I've been to Bangkok. I lived in Bangkok for a year.
You would choose, and I'm sure those things did not happen to you when you were over there. It seems
they didn't. No, they didn't. But it was actually a more difficult city to live in. I mean, there were car bombs going off on a daily basis.
Sometimes, guys, you got to pick your poison. You know,
that's a dangerous poison, though, Pete. I mean, I've gone through my things. I've had several guns in my face while out here. But
I've
all
never
of
had a gun pulled on me, and this is one
so
good thing I like.
you got 11 times and no one's pulled a gun? Oh, so
No,
that's not that bad.
like
Okay,
the
I'm
way
thinking.
mugging works in Sao Paulo, it's not somebody pulls a gun on you or even a knife. It's mostly somebody approaches you as a friend, and then they get you in a place where you're alone, and then they say like, give me $5. Like, it's never give me all your money, give me your cell phone. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
give me $5.
And what if you just
But
say no? What do they do? They're not presenting any weapon to you?
no,
So why do you give it to them?
because it's a matter of principle.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Well, I'm not just gonna give some asshole $5. No,
No, I'm
no.
saying why?
But what
If they
happens if
don't,
you don't give
what
them the
happens if you
$5?
don't give them the
They're gonna
5?
Yeah.
they're going to assault me.
Yeah,
But
no, I agree with
the
what Pete's saying because this has happened to me before, or almost happened, where it's, because criminals here are slick. I mean, any place criminals are slick. So there's different ways where it can go down. You can just have a violent, like a guy on a motorcycle, just pull out a gun, give me your shit. But a lot of times, especially if you're out at night and you're partying, which I did for a very long time here in Brazil, you meet people and then people get close to you and then maybe they'll slip something in your drink, maybe they'll take you over here. Like I
Yeah.
remember this advice that this guy gave me when I first got here. He's like, don't ever just go, like somebody will say, oh, I'm lost. How do I get to, and they'll be like, oh, just can you go up the street? I think it's right. Never, because
Oh,
that's
hell
how
no.
they get you a
yeah,
lot of times here. You got to
yeah.
be careful. It's just, what it is that can, I think, make this go down a bit easier down here than other places in the world, is because
Spidey
Brazilians,
senses.
no, Brazilians are friendly, man, and it's like it took me a while to get my spidey sense down here because it was hard for me to
Gotta
tell
have the Spidey
who the
senses.
bad players were versus who the good players was. I think in the U.S. it's much more cut and dry. I mean, you get a few slick dudes up there, but
No,
it's pretty cut
we
and
got
dry.
a lot of slick dudes,
You
man.
do, but
Yeah.
We got slick talkers, bro.
yeah, but it's still. I mean, I don't know. In the
I done
U.S. I
been through
always had a
every
good sense.
situation.
I had a good sense.
I had this experience in the
Yeah.
North Zone. I don't remember exactly where it is, but I think it's like really near the end of the line 2, the blue line.
Yes.
And I was talking to these guys, and I made it clear I was lost, and they just got these looks in their eyes like wolves. And
Mm-hmm.
when I saw a bus departing from the terminal across the street, I just hopped on that bus, and they almost ran after me. Like, they're like, "Oh, we almost had him," and I was like, "Yeah, no, motherfuckers." Spidey sense went off right
Yeah,
there.
it's a weird place in that sense. Because I mean, think about it, Jordan. I mean, I don't know, maybe where you lived was different, but like nobody was coming up to you in the street, like not in Philly, not in Jersey, just being like, "Hey, what's up? How are?" Like here, that happens, and in 9 out of 10 times, it's just a Brazilian being Brazilian, and they just
No, but it
start
does
talking to
happen
you.
in Jersey though. Like
Not
even when
where
I
I
was in
live.
Baltimore, because my mother was living in Glen Burnie,
Hmm.
and then I took that little Papapsco, whatever that line, that light rail, and I
Yeah,
went
yeah.
up there in Baltimore, and like I strike mad people came talking to me, like it was crazy, like I was striking up conversations. But that's how it is, like in our communities, especially in places that are walkable,
Okay.
like walkable places. It's not like that in suburbs because we drive, and when you drive, it limits your, in Sao Paulo, in certain areas, it can be, very walkable. And so, like, I've dealt with that, like, with a lot of people just like, yo, it was good. It was coming out of nowhere, shiesty. Those shiesty, slimy type dudes that you don't know what their home life is like. You just see them, like, on some Walking Dead shit. Like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of these type of characters, like,
But you
almost.
can tell them apart. That's the point, though. You can tell you have them, but you can tell them apart. Like your spidey sense goes off a lot sooner. Even with, I always say this about even gay shit down here. Like I lost my
Gay
gaydar in
shit.
Brazil. I lost my gaydar. I don't know who's gay or not in Brazil. I assume everybody in Brazil is gay until they prove to me they are not.
What?
Because Brazilians are just they're friendly. Like guys hug each other and they kiss each other and
Oh, okay.
they're
I
like
see what
this
you
and that. Like it's just the
I see what you
culture here
mean.
is more open. So you're much more susceptible to letting somebody in your house that you think is just a friendly person, but really they're just like scoping you out, seeing how much you got in the drawer, this, that, and the third, which has happened to me before. I've been robbed inside my own house, which is why I still got trauma about inviting people to my house. I still don't do it that much.
Here in
But
Brazil or in the
here in
States?
Brazil, where in the
Yeah.
US, I never really like. That's the last thing I thought about. Like I never thought about
That
stuff like that.
happened to me, bro. Remember I
I
told you
remember you told me that happened to
I got
you.
robbed in my fucking
Yes,
sleep. I woke up, there's
yes.
3 dudes in my house. So I'm like, yo, like once I seen the gates in the houses here in Brazil, in Panama I had that too. Like I
Yeah,
felt so much more comfortable because I couldn't sleep for months going back. Because I'm like, yo, there's nothing separating the world inside my walls. You know what I'm saying? So
I
I
got
felt a
you.
little bit. I slept a little easier, but I
Yeah,
learned just like through life, just to just not trust anybody.
yeah,
Everybody means you harm. That's how I go through life, and I think that's why I never got robbed. I've developed tactics to never
yep,
get robbed. And like I said, if you go into Santa Figenia and you're trying to buy some shit, some electronic shit,
yeah.
jog on the inside, on towards where the cars are at, that part of the street.
Yeah,
Just be jogging. That's what I do.
and do it
Yeah,
during the day, man, because
during the
after
day. I
5
know I
p.m.,
walk in the middle of the
that
street here.
place turns into Road Warrior.
Yeah, at night it's pretty scary. But you learn little tactics here. But I want to just get back just real quick because we got to wrap up soon.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to ask you because you talked a little bit about hip hop and how you felt like in the when you got here, like the movement was still kind of strong, and it's still. I mean, hip hop doesn't have the amount of power in Brazil that it had back in the day. I think funk kind of took over, and even trap music a little bit. In
Mhm.
fact, shout out to Kayo who just came out with a new video. And real quick, what Jordan was saying about like Capone, and he's got the videographer there and the choreographer. Everybody's in Capone. That's what I love about this city because it's the same thing down here. Like I live next to a community here where everything's there. Like these kids are doing amazing stuff down there. Like Kayo comes over here almost every Friday. He records his tracks. He goes to one studio, goes to another. I love it. So every area of the city just has its own little vibrant life and culture and artists.
It's
But
true.
I wanted to know where you feel hip hop is now in Brazil. What are the messages that are being presented to the people? Is it
Mhm.
still about positivity? Is it still about the struggle, or has it just been like kind of? I mean, like U.S. rap for me, hip hop is just not interesting anymore. And I'm just putting it out there, not interesting. And I like the stuff going on down here just because of what they're talking about. So, what's your view on that?
Well, I remember what I was trying to say earlier because I get sidetracked from well, this
We
is
all
long,
do. This is the
long
ADHD podcast, guys.
word. But like because we were talking about music and how like music is getting worse nowadays, and I believe that like music, like live music, is definitely worse. Kind of, I
Oh,
seen
nobody knows
Rolling
how to play
Loud,
live. Yeah.
and it was weird. There was no energy, but the songs. I never say it was better in my day because I graduated at a time where we
Mhm.
had like what was on the radio was yeah, in my white tee. Yeah, in my white. And or I think they like I think they like me when they heard me on the other one. Like that was like, and I knew, like I grew up listening to like the Nas's and the AZ's and those Queensbridge rappers and a
Yeah.
lot of West Coast rappers too from the 90s. And I'm like
Mhm.
looking for the flows and the cadences and the punchlines, and it just wasn't there anymore about when it was my time to do high school. And so nowadays when I hear some artists, I can't give you names that much because I don't really follow too
Mhm.
much the scene in
Yeah.
the United States. But some of the songs sound better than the sonoric, than in my era, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though, because I think a lot of the younger artists, they're studio artists. They know how to play in that
Okay.
studio, but they don't know how to do
Yeah.
stuff live. And
I
and
agree.
and
I agree
and that's
with that.
across the board. That's just not hip hop. I mean, even if you think about where are the Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey type diva style singers these days? They don't
And
exist.
the Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, they're not making these dudes
Yeah,
anymore.
but it's because before those guys even got their first album, they were already on the road for 10 years before they got big. So like they have stage presence. Like Whitney Houston only needed a microphone, like nothing else, and that's it. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
These days to find an artist that can sell that is hard, like because they're all built in the studio. Uh it's kind of complicated. But back to the question though, but where do you
Yeah.
feel Brazilian hip hop, that
Well,
culture is today?
every once in a while, there is a really good joint that's talking about something and people like it. But I feel
Mhm.
like things come out and they just don't last anymore. And that's everything. but it's not a lot of staying power right now. I think what's dominating is the girls, man, the women. They're
Yeah.
dominating right now. They got their movement. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say names of people because I'm not gonna remember everybody's name individually. But because my wife is a part of this, like we pay a
Mm-hmm.
lot of attention. Who's who right now? And the top people that people are listening to right now are women
Are
that are
women.
rapping. And
Mm-hmm.
some of it is like they're talking a lot about feminicide. That's a big thing that's been happening
Mm-hmm.
out here and around the world. I think, man, it's being crazy for women, man. A lot of people sleeping with the enemy, bro. It's killing a lot of people, a lot of women. And a lot of these artists are talking about that. Even Lena got a song on the album she's talking about. It's called Bikini da Seleção. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of women that's talking about these topics, but they're also talking about sexuality, in a
Mm-hmm.
free way. They're also talking about, what I'm saying? So I like that. I like that the women finally getting a voice and even being DJs and beat makers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
this
You
is
didn't see
great.
that. You
And
didn't see
even
that so much before.
well, yeah, and I think it's interesting you say that because even in the US, I'm thinking like all the modern artists that I'm listening to, most of them are women, whether it's coming from hip hop, R&B,
Mm-hmm.
rock, whatever. I listen to a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, Tori Amos just came out with a new album, which is really good. Um, but yeah, it seems like the women kind of are dominating right now in the music world. They're coming out with stuff that's a little bit more interesting. But even then, it can get kind of bland. I'm like, ooh, what's going on? So yeah, it's just interesting where the music is now. I mean, popular
Oh,
music is, what I think is could happen,
mm,
Jordan, which I think you can be part of this. I think we're all part of this right now, and it's really special. Is the underground scene, especially in São Paulo. São Paulo's always had a really good rock and roll underground scene, but I don't know about other genres because they were popular at the time, so they didn't need to be in an underground. And now
mhm.
that they've kind of not become as popular because everybody's just selling pagode and sertanejo, it's like they're just being able to be real and just talk about like what real life is because they're not so concerned about, oh, I'm going to get played on the radio.
Mhm.
So it's really exciting for me when I listen to, like, we have Andarilho Shah, guys like that in the city that are doing. Viviane Pitaya is another one, or
Mhm.
these artists that are underground. Shout out to Nego De, who's old school rap that's doing a whole lot of good stuff here in Sao Paulo. And these guys are, you're just telling the reality of what life is
Mhm.
without thinking, oh, I got to get this song on the radio. So for me, it's an exciting time musically, much more than when I first got here in 2008, 2009, where it was still kind of the old guard kind of music, a lot of pop, kind of, sugary stuff. And then just now I can't listen to the radio anymore. It's just like
Yeah,
every song
music
sounds the
is
same.
always best when
Hmm.
people are just making it for
Hmm.
like the sheer sake of making it.
Yes.
When you're making it to try and make money, it shows.
It
Yes, it
And
does.
does.
when it's coming from a sincere place, I mean that's really what the punk movement was all about. Like
Of course.
none of these bands expected to make money, and they
Hmm.
didn't. Most
Hmm.
of them made no money, but they still have an audience to this
Yeah.
day, and it's
Hmm.
because it's coming from a place of sincerity.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Absolutely. And that's
Cool.
what with this album, that's the last thing I want to talk about because that's one of the things that I talked about with Lena. Like I don't expect to have any like return on this investment or whatever. I don't expect any return because the return is that finally all the
Hmm.
stuff that was inside of us we're getting it out, and finally we're doing something that probably has never been done before. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's an album that exists where there's a husband and wife and it's hip hop and it's a mixture between all of these other genres
Hmm.
and between black music in the United States and black music here in Brazil, and they're doing it in English and Portuguese. And we're also
Hmm.
releasing a book. This is going to be a week after the album. We're releasing a
Cool.
book with the same name that is a translation of everything that we talk about. And like, let's say everything that I say in English will be translated into Portuguese, explaining the things that like I use a lot of expressions and stuff. And in between that, also like it's also autobiographical because we're going to talk before every track, just like tell the story of our lives and everything that happened, the different things that I talked about in this interview about my life and
Hmm.
Lena too, and how we cross paths. But all throughout doing that, we're translating the album in ways that are like a person could use it to actually learn a lot of new words in English. You know what I
That
mean?
reminds me of that Stevie Wonder album, Talking Book. That's what it feels like, like it's a multimedia experience. I like that with the book. That's really interesting.
Multimedia
Yes,
experience.
it is. It's very cool.
All right. So you got compared to Stevie Wonder. That's a pretty good
Oh,
Yo,
comparison.
that made my night.
yeah,
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
definitely. No, this is wonderful. Guys, it's late. We all gotta go to
Hmm.
work tomorrow. Unfortunately, we
Absolutely.
all got day jobs, but it's
That's
so
not
great.
unfortunate. A day job, it keeps the lights on, my friend. I do not
This is
complain.
true. This is true. Guys, as always, I want to thank everybody that was on with us tonight. We got Travelmatic, Life Is, and Anthony that were commenting here. But during the
Yo,
show, I
thanks a
saw we
lot.
had about 11, 12 people jump in every once in a while. So if you're listening to this on the playback, leave comments. Anthony was asking where he could find your album. Guys, I was sharing Jordan's Spotify, and are you dropping it there? Are you putting it on a
It's gonna be
website? How's it
dropped
working?
everywhere. It's also gonna be on the website, Bandcamp. You could purchase it, name your price, but it's gonna come out on May 29th. It's gonna be called Longa Jornada. If you just type in UmSoh, UmSoh, and the album's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be right there. It's gonna be on all
Do you have any
platforms, but
promo stuff up or no?
no, not yet. But
Do
we're
you
gonna put up.
do you have
And
any? Oh, this is something else. Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
I
for
think
that was a single.
Jordan will get the most money from Bandcamp. Is
Yeah,
that
that's
correct?
it.
Yeah,
That's
selling.
something
Whoa,
else.
what is that? No, it's nothing about the album.
I don't know
Only
what
like
that is.
videos that we posted on
Yeah, okay.
Instagram. But yeah, we're gonna sell it to like
Oh,
people
I
because
got you.
Brazilians don't really have this thing about buying albums on Bandcamp. I don't think. But to the
Mm-hmm.
people that are interested in that, it's gonna be up there too for sale. Name your price, kind of thing. But
All
thanks for
right.
asking, man.
Cool.
But it's gonna be on if y'all guys follow the UmSoh on Instagram or any socials, we're gonna put the link in the bio and it'll be all over the place.
Yeah, the links are all down here, guys, in the description of the video. But UmSoh, I'm gonna put it here in the comments. So it's spelled UmSoh. Okay,
Yeah, one word, one
UmSoh,
word.
and it's one word. I separated it there, but it's one word. But in either case, I mean, if you type it, you're gonna get them. You're gonna get Jordan and company. Guys, we're heading off to bedtime now. Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
as always, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having us,
Yeah,
man.
nice to see you again, man.
Wonderful evening.
Yeah, it's been a long time, so I want to get you back on to talk about some other stuff. I love talking culture with you because we all come from these different perspectives. But guys, this is officially my outro music. So thank you guys for coming on to the Brazil Expat Journal. Next week, we will be talking Tropicalia. So get ready for that. We'll be talking about the music, the main players, the movies, the theater, because it's not just a musical movement, it's a cultural movement and one of the most important, not only in Brazil, but in the world. I mean, Tropicalia has influenced American artists. We'll talk all about it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful part of Brazilian history. So I hope you can join us Monday night at 10 p.m. Thank you guys. We are off. Good night.